And welcome to Mirador Television. My name is Max Hurd, and I am here with Keith. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Max. Fresh from London. How did you find the big smoke?
Good. I saw Rishi Sunak, which was odd. His motorcade go past. He was coming out of Parliament. I thought he was in Egypt though, which was strange. I wasn't expecting to
Yes,
see
I
him.
thought he was too. But nowadays, I suppose with the speed of jets and so on, as they go from meeting to meeting overseas, and you never know where the hell they are. And probably the security forces are more than happy to have it that way.
Yeah. Well, I had a good day in London. Went to the Imperial War Museum, and you said you've what was it you did there?
Well, no, there are about 4 hours of recording in the Imperial War Museum archives of my time in Northern Ireland. There's a lady who was in charge of that particular archive, and she asked me if I would go there. I went on three separate occasions, as I recall. We did about an hour and a bit each, talking about the experiences of somebody who's actually a civilian during the time of warfare in the north. So there it is, sitting in the Imperial War Museum archives. I don't know. Well, yes, I suppose really they put these things there for academics, particularly, and researchers to dig out and get background material when they're writing academic papers or novels or even books about the time in Northern Ireland. So there they sit with my golden tones, telling everybody what it was like.
Well, I had a great time in London. Yes, it was very fun.
Good. So you went down to the House of Commons.
Yes, it's Parliament.
Um, do you know how the House of Commons got its name? Its name?
No, how?
Well, you should have listened to me. It is Tom Paine, who is
Oh, of
was a
course.
denizen of this hotel, was driving past Parliament as it was in the late 1700s. I think he was with Ben Franklin from America, and he said one day there should be there a chamber that represents the common man. Perhaps it should be called the House of Commons. So named by, according to Bill Bryson, the historian, named by Tom Paine.
Okay, I didn't know. Oh, I knew that, but I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, went to all over the place really in London. Yeah, it was a good time. Lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, London has been my stomping ground, I suppose, since 1990. I went to London a lot from 1980, I suppose. But I would go there on business and then come out again. But in 1990, because I went to work at Reuters, right in the heart of the city, my social life moved there to some extent, and of course I was a member of one of the elite private clubs on Pall Mall, which takes you into the heart of what's going on. Um, so some interesting people. One of the places that you should go the next time you're there is to go to Evensong in Westminster Abbey. It's a really a wonderful experience,
Really? Okay, I'll
and
have a
it's
look.
free. You don't have to pay to go in. I don't think.
It's free.
Yeah,
That's a
because
great.
it's a service, a church service.
Well, that's a great price.
Yes, absolutely. Not much else in London is free.
Well, actually, the museum I went to, the Imperial War Museum, is free,
Yes.
but you have to give a mandatory £6 donation.
That's not bad. £6, and I believe that the National Gallery, also in Trafalgar Square, is free. To go and look at art exhibitions and so on. So there are a few places. I suppose the British Library is free too. Do you know something? I have never ever actually been into the British Library as a library. I've only ever been there to have lunch.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I can't remember the last time I ever went to a library. I mean, they're obsolete now for my generation at least.
Well, I I don't know. I can't comment on that. I don't think that libraries are going to be obsolete. Actually, I think there's every evidence that people are going to go back, are going back to reading again. And you're quite right that the fashion has been to do a quick search on the internet.
I don't think that'll ever change, really. It's so convenient now. I mean, I can find more information on the web than I can in a library, infinite more information.
Yes.
Why would I go to a library
Well,
anymore?
why you would go to a library is, as journalists, the really top-notch journalists do not take stuff off the web without double-checking and triple-checking sources from three separate sources to make sure that it's accurate. That is, unless you yourself have actually initiated the story, in which case you know that it's accurate. But there is so much, as you know, fake news that comes out on the internet. And the editor of one national newspaper, I won't mention it, he just retired actually, but he said one of the big problems that they have is that the youngsters coming in from university, they go onto their night staff, and all they do is they more or less do what is known as rip and read. In other words, they take stuff without any inquiry whatsoever as to its authenticity or veracity, and then use it as fact. That can't go on. So there's got to be a change somewhere. As far as news is concerned, what other people do as they read is entirely up to them. The only thing is that the first people to scream that there is fake news are those people that are busy using it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean,
that's my morning rant.
I think most of the good journalists are gone now, anyway.
Well, I half agree with you. I mean, I think that the news sector certainly is suffering at the moment. But by the same token, for instance, I know as a couple of people still at Reuters. I know a couple of people in Fleet Street newspapers, but there are people with who, by their very nature, by the fact that they are serious, actually do half decent journalism, and I think that half decent journalism is required. Otherwise, what we're going to do is have a whole bunch of rubbish.
I think that's what we have now, really, already.
Well, I think you've got to be very careful with generalisation. I would agree with you to some extent that I'm quite critical of what's done, but I'm as critical of presentation as I am of the actual content. I mean, if I hear one more time a reporter on the BBC, of all places, say, and here we are at the House of Commons, oh my God, that is known in the real trade of broadcasting as the Chinese water torture. Because once you go, here we are at the House of Commons, and Hancock enters the jungle, and it's like drip, 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 drip until you force people away. The whole point of a broadcaster is to attract people to watch what they're saying and what they're offering as information, because no viewer has any force on him to watch you. It's up to you to actually engage and be engaging enough to make them watch you. So the major broadcasters have got people who are doing exactly the opposite, forcing them away. There you go. I'm having a great morning.
Well,
it's good to have you back.
We're 10 minutes in, and we should probably start with the headlines.
Yes.
Well,
all right.
Stuart will be here.
It will be a bit late this morning. He won't be here bang on 9 o'clock. His wife is a little poorly, and he's looking after her. But he said he will be here as soon as he possibly can. Right. Shall I read a couple of headlines?
Yeah.
The Metro. It's a jungle out there. He's in and he is out. And what they're referring to is Hancock, who's been promoted into the jungle apparently as a celebrity. Whoa, 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 whoa. And Gavin Williamson, who has been sacked. Well, he hasn't been actually. He's resigned, but I think he resigned under some pressure for so-called bullying when he was chief whip. Now, do you know what the chief whip is?
That sounds sort of like a role where you bully people, if I'm honest.
Well, actually, it is. You're not too wrong. And why? I mean, I think they've got a bunch of soft nellies. You know, I make no secret. My stance on Parliament at the moment is there are 650 of them there, and we should get 650 of them out. Is that they're not one fit for purpose? Not one of them of the 650. And I think that they are such sensitive little flowers that they keep on making noises about, oh dear, we've been bullied, and so on and so forth. When in fact, it's quite normal procedure. The whole idea of the whip, and at one time, way back in the past, and I couldn't tell you when, they did carry whips, is that if you belong to a political party, you are expected to show loyalty. And when something comes up in the House for a vote, you are supposed to vote that way. And the whips are those who make sure, and they go around and see each member individually and say, okay, make sure that you vote this way. They put pressure on to some extent, A, to make sure that you're there to vote, and B, that you vote the right way. And that would need a certain amount of strong arming and yes, a little bit of bullying.
Yeah.
But why there's suddenly these need Nellies are starting to yell and scream at the system, God only knows. Very typical, though.
I was assuming that pretty much all politicians were bullies, but okay, I guess this is new news.
You would assume what? Sorry.
Most politicians are bullies.
That's why they actually. They are and they aren't. I don't think so much I find politicians as bullies. I find them arrogant because they live in this bubble and they have no idea what's going on outside, and therefore they strut. Gosh, look how important I am. When in fact they are no more important in the scheme of things the dog catcher. Everybody's got their place in a civilized society, just the same as in the bees in the hive. There's the queen, and then there are the drones and the workers and all the rest of it. And we are the same. Everybody's got a place. Nobody is more important than anybody else, because if that's the case, then we are out of kilter, and our society won't tick along. I'm having a lot of rants this morning, aren't I? I'm enjoying my ranting.
Yes, you are.
Shall we go on to the next paper, the Daily Mail? Williamson forced out in cut your throat bully row. The same thing is he's been accused. Apparently, the Prime Minister said, "I am sorry to see you go," or "I'm sorry to have to ask you to resign." Everybody who picks these things to pieces has leapt on this to say, "Oh well, he didn't. He was pushed, etc., etc." They're creating another row, another issue where there are none, and here we are surrounded by cost of living crisis, inflation, war, pestilence, you name it. Every trial known to man is besetting us. And what are they doing? Is arguing about whether he was sacked or wasn't sacked. Where do they get off? Where do they? I don't think they should take their salary. I think we should withhold their salary. That's what I would do. And that'd bring them to heel a bit.
Well, that would be a good idea, but that would be their choice. The government would have to withhold the government's salary.
Not realistic, I'm afraid, but nonetheless, I can dream.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we go on to the next? The Times. Williamson quits amid new claims of bullying. He has been accused in the past of bullying, but I actually knew quite well Christopher Pincher, who was the disgraced whip the man who got drunk and sort of, apparently, allegedly, touched up somebody in the Carlton Club of all places. He should have known better than to do it in there. But anyway, I mean, I know the way that Christopher worked, and although he was hard and he made sure that people did what they're supposed to, and he fulfilled his duties as a government whip. I don't think he was chief whip. I think he was deputy chief whip. But he did it with a certain amount of tact and decency. And there are ways of persuading people to do things without actually sort of kicking in the back. The Guardian. That's to be done.
Okay, well, I'm back. I'll try to bring your camera back in, but they can hear you now again, yes.
Okay, well, I think that probably enough has been said over that. That is only being facetious as usual this morning. And I think actually Hancock must be very pleased because the heat has come off him a little bit. And he's getting a right, okay, we've popped back. One source tells the paper that the appointment certainly posed a risk. So apparently he leaked some stuff in his previous defense role. Back 3-4 years ago. No wonder we don't remember.
We're back properly now. There we go.
Good. Okay. There's rumble in the jungle. The mirror goes back to Hancock. Is that the former minister is he can't wait to get into the forefront and become a celebrity. I mean, if that's why he became an MP, we're glad to see the back of him. And if he thinks that he's going to be a celebrity by going into the jungle, it's 5 minutes. Can you name anybody who's been on this celebrity jungle thing?
Yes.
Who?
So many celebrities in this country have. It's a very, very popular TV show.
All right. With whom?
The UK population. It's
come on, the UK population. I've never seen the bloody thing.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't even turn me on.
It doesn't mean it's not popular.
No, but it doesn't mean also that it's as widespread as the producers and
See
you
what- I'll see what the numbers are then.
present that is. I bet you I could go and stand in a cocktail party tonight of 50 people, and only one of them out of the 50 had seen the thing or knew about it.
If you're a
Reality
cocktail-
shows they're cheap television. First of all, you know that's how they got started, don't you?
What?
Well, as television expanded, it only had certain budgets to do quality programming, so it looked around for cheap television, and this is cheap television. In general terms, the budgets aren't terribly high compared to proper television, and that's it's cheap television. It will always be cheap television, and it stays cheap television. There, the Daily Star, fears of a clown.
Hang on a minute. Sorry. I was hoping to get me out of here per episode. In per episode, 9.1 million views.
9.1.
9.1 million.
Right.
that's-
Melissa Conti and I did a morning business program, and we got 8 million daily. Right.
Right.
Is 8 million would have put us somewhere about 2/3 up the list here. So this is about 2/3 up the list of programs.
Yeah, but this is only shown in the UK. I don't know about your business.
No. All I'm saying is that if you make a match of the number of people, is 8 million. The reason that I know the 8 million mark. Well, no, I used to follow the ratings quite carefully. But do you know what Coronation Street got in its heyday?
What?
23 million.
Wow.
Yeah, that was popular.
That was very. Yeah,
Yes,
that was very.
yes.
Well,
It doesn't get it now, by the way.
9.1
But
million. That's what about one in 6 people in the country.
1 in 6.
Yeah, because it's only shown in this country.
We're about 70 million now, aren't we?
Yeah, and 10 million per episode, roughly.
So it's the 7th.
1 in 7.
It's the 7th.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still pretty. That's a pretty decent.
Oh, I'm not saying that people don't watch it,
Well,
but you know, I mean, prison populations don't have anything more to do than watch television, and there are an awful lot of people that only watch television because they want this mindless nonsense. Anyway, we won't quarrel about that. Yes, we will, but we'll quarrel about it afterwards. Right, the Star. Please bear this news in mind when voting, folks. Fears of a clown. Oh, I'm a celeb Wazzock reveals he's petrified of all snakes. Coco expects to face every trial, but still hopes to win. Who the hell's Coco?
I don't know who the hell Coco is. I've never watched the
Oh,
show.
come on, you're
I've
a
never
fan.
watched. No, I've never watched the show in my life. I'm just saying, 1 in 7 people in this country do watch the show.
Yeah, on and off. The Sun. COVID rules sent Olivia packing. Oh yeah, she's the lady that got tossed off. And she was thrown off the program, and apparently it's because she showed some symptoms of COVID, or she didn't take the necessary precautions. In fact, that's something that you and Liza Page talk about, isn't it? Is the question of being inoculated against COVID.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that this morning because that's your bag, your baby, and we'll leave that to you. The Daily Express, your 300,000 voices have been heard. Right, the Express says that the government is expected to preserve the triple lock on state pensions. I mean, if I'm going to be of the me generation, I breathe a sigh of relief because that will mean that in April my pension will rise, and I can't be more pleased. However, if I want to put myself outside the me generation and go back to a sense of duty, and I was discussing this with people yesterday, is that no longer, and these actually these weren't people that I knew. What we do after this program is we go into what's used to be known as the farmer's bar, and we either have a cup of coffee or we have a glass of wine or whatever. And yesterday there were 2 ladies sitting there, and we got into conversation with them, and they were quite interesting. One was from Hove, and the other was from Chailey, and we talked about a whole range of things. But one of the things that we did discuss is that the sense of duty that our forefathers had, and when I say our forefathers, I mean my parents, and even a bit down from that, had a great sense of duty, which reflected what President Kennedy said: think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that's gone, almost totally gone. People think in terms of me, and that's how we make our decisions. So I am being me, in as much as in this newspaper article headline is that the triple lock, which means that the safeguard of pensions is going to be maintained. But perhaps we, as a sector, what do you lot call us? The Tweedies, the Weedies, the Wrinklies. We, the Wrinklies, should make a bit more of a contribution to our community and feel that we should be doing that. So I'm torn on this story. 300,000 people thought the triple lock should be maintained. So be it.
Yeah. I don't really know what to think about it. Free money, I guess. Free money.
What's the weather, Max?
The weather? Well, it is actually quite sunny out there. So soon we'll be getting the beam of light reflecting off the courthouse right into our eyes. But let me check the weather app for what it's going to be later.
Oh,
bless you. Okay.
All right.
So it's going
what
to be
temperature? It's going to be a bit warmer
it's
again
12,
today, isn't it?
It's 12 degrees right now.
And what's it going to rise to?
It's only going to hit a peak of 14.
Oh, 14. Well, it's 13 yesterday, so a bit
And
warmer.
we should not expect rain at all today.
No rain.
No rain.
Well, it was belting down when I came out this morning.
I know, same.
Yeah. So we've got no rain. But I have to say that right now that there is some sunshine out there.
I was on my way in the train because the bus I missed. But I was on my way on the train, and all of by the river along the train tracks is all flooded.
I've
I've not seen it that bad.
I think there are parts of Lewis that are flooded and still flooded.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. There's a lot of rain.
Indeed. Now, this Friday is very important. And I think, Max, if now is the time for us to play a piece to remind people just how important it is. Because if you talk about a sense of duty, we honor on Friday at the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, those who gave their lives for us. Some people try to make it unfashionable now. Don't. You're tampering with some sacred beliefs when it comes to the support of those who gave their lives in the last two wars. Doesn't matter whether you believe in war or not believe in war. That's got nothing to do with it. These people died, and they didn't have any say about it. So honor them for what they did and what their intent was. Right.
All right, here we go. Okay, and we're back. That was a clip on Remembrance Day, which is on Friday, November the 11th. So what are we going to do now, Keith? I think we're going to go
Well,
to our
I was
longer.
just going to take a quick look at the local headlines. The Yeah, God bless you. Okay, I have to put that out of sight, of course. Yes, but you'll have to let me lean forward. A passenger dies and two injured in the A27 crash just over the West Sussex border near Havant. So that's something that we have to be aware of. That there has been a car crash. Um, that's and a woman dies after the car and lorry crash on a rural road. We can get some details on that. Um, that's on the A281 near Henfield. A woman has died after a crash between a car and a lorry on a rural road. Police were called to the A281 Brighton Road at around 4 p.m. on Sunday, and they confirmed yesterday that the 71-year-old lady has been was killed in that crash. Um, let's see, the next £324 cost of living payment has been confirmed, and apparently it will start to be distributed in the next couple of days or so. And the payment will be automatically put into those people who qualify for recipients. So if you get any of these scams into your email box saying, please send us your details, your bank details, and we'll make sure that it's paid. It's a scam. Don't fall for it. It's going to come in automatically. And what you'll be doing is be signing away that money to somebody else. So those are the key highlights. A dog walker was repeatedly punched in an unprovoked attack while talking to a friend. Where was that? That took place in Crawley.
Well, that makes sense.
Does it make sense?
Have you been to Crawley?
No.
It's terrible, don't.
Right.
It's awful.
Floodwater getting very close to homes after the river burst its banks. Well, that's been a threat over the last couple of days. So although there's nothing new in it, by the same token, be aware that flooding is, the more it rains, the more it'll flood.
Yes, and also a quick tip: if you want to buy a house, don't buy a house next to a river.
No, that's for sure. Actually, we are guilty as a nation of selling off land that is in a floodplain. And then when this sort of weather occurs,
it must be climate change.
Yeah, indeed. Right, those are the local headlines. And so we return to the national headlines. Okay, I'm in your hands.
I think what we'll do is we'll go to a longer clip, and then we'll have stories from behind the headlines, more to talk about then. I think let's go to the park briefly, just before we do anything.
Oh yes, let's go to our own Potter's Wheel.
Okay, and we're back. So, what are we playing?
Well, it's 7 minutes past 9, and this was a little vignette that we did a couple of years ago, primarily to show people what we cover on Mirador television, but also to say, did you know what is this all about? So this first part shows you or poses certain questions, and then a little later, Uncle Max will pay the second part for you, which gives you some of the answers. Although in this clip, we say Mirador Television, the station that asks the questions but doesn't ever give the answers. So take it away, my boy.
All right, here we go.
Hi, welcome to Mirador Television. This is local TV, but probably not local TV as you know it. We don't have much cash, so for one thing we have to do much of our stuff outside. We don't even have a studio. So we don't even have a weather presenter. But we will try to bring you the weather. So when you see me with an umbrella, it's raining. So when I have my walking stick, it's fine. If my hat blows off, it's windy. And if I'm wearing a bikini, it's hot. Not that you're going to see me in a bikini very often. The body's gone, you see. Not a pretty sight. But when it comes to mixed weather, well, we really have a problem. It's silly of us to serve up the same old rubbish that you can see on regular television, so we're serving up rubbish of our own. But I hope that it's nutty enough to bring you back to watch us again. Stick with us, Nutty TV. Now, what's what?
So that
Right.
was
Well, I was looking at a little delayed thing there, so forgive me. And what that is about is some of the things that take place in Lewis, some of its features that people might wonder about, particularly if they are new. And since the flow of people, particularly over the lockdown period, was quite large into Lewis, new people, is it's an opportunity for us to say these are things that happen, and this is why. So that poses the question. In a little while, Max, in his wisdom, will pay you part 2 of that program, which actually then gives you the answers. So there you are. What and what revealed.
so we have. So I've been looking behind the headlines in the Daily Mail. There's a couple interesting stories. There's one here. Now Rishi Moles to return of Brown's 50p top tax rate.
50p top tax rate.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that.
That
This is something that Sunak is, or Hunt is suggesting. It won't be very popular in many places. And actually, it will go against some economic philosophies.
and some of the conservative values.
Yeah, I mean, basically, forgetting party politics or even philosophies for a little while, the whole argument about low tax is that people who create wealth will actually be attracted to a low tax area, and they therefore generate a lot of wealth. And the moment you start to put up taxes, then they go off to some other area that is a better tax.
Yeah, if I was to think of it this way, if you're a billionaire or a millionaire even, and you live in this country, and the government says we're going to tax you 50%, you're just going to go, okay, then I'm going to move all my assets out of the country, but keep my business here. Why would anyone not do that? That's of course all millionaires and billionaires would do that. It's just common sense. It seems like it should be common sense for the Conservative Party not to raise taxes to 50%. They haven't yet, but it's in the talks right now.
Well, that is certainly an economic philosophy, and it is surprising that Hunt has gone against that grain. The only thing is that it just shows how desperate governance is. And once again, I'm not going to say the Conservatives, I'm going to say governance, the people in charge, because the opposition are supposed to play a vital role in our form of government. And it would be very key that they should all be held responsible for whatever it is that they do. So if they're going to put up the tax rate of 50 pence, let them do it and let them take the either the accolades, maybe, or the downside, the brickbats, if it all goes wrong. What else have you got?
I don't know. It just seems like the Conservative Party is trying to commit economic suicide. Really, there was another story I had in here about GPs, which was interesting. There we go. Okay, here we go. GP. Why are GPs still using COVID as an excuse not to see patients?
Right, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
What's the answer?
I don't know. Would you like to go through some of the finer print?
Yeah, by all means. They
got an advert here in the Daily Mail for mobility scooters.
Oh, have they? Right. This is Sarah Vine, who is a regular columnist in the Mail, And she is posing the question, why are GPs still, she underlines still, using COVID as an excuse not to see patients? She say, I came down with a nasty chest infection, and at first I just ignored it, but it got worse, and my lungs were on fire. The bug then took up residence in my ears, rendering me deaf and in considerable discomfort. Even then, Sarah Wright, that I didn't look for help from a doctor. But if only it was that simple. There was a time when seeing the doctor was a straightforward affair. You rang, you made an appointment, you went. These days, you might as well be seeking an audience with the Pope. Her first mistake, she says, was to call on a Monday morning. Whichever bacterium was rampaging in my bronchioles had clearly not got the message about Monday mornings. After 47 attempts to get past the engaged tone, no appointments were available.
Well, I had to wait 25 minutes just to get a consultation for them to look at my ear the other week when I had that ear infection.
Right.
And it's, it's been over 2 weeks now, and that still hasn't gone.
Well, a lot of things that are appointed, things are different now, and this is where we operate, and it makes life difficult. It doesn't at all. Basically, what's happened is they have made a huge mistake. The first big mistake that they made is doing away with very local medical facilities. We have a hospital here, which I went to last week because that's where I go to for my Parkinson's consultancy, and it's very convenient. And I go there at 9 o'clock, and Jane, my consultant, is there at 9 o'clock. We see one another, we clear the decks for more people, and away I go. As my doctor is, I have to try and phone, I have to try and talk to a receptionist who doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, and she makes up her mind whether I should get an appointment, a consultation. But she also is the last time I did it. She also has a decision about whether, in fact, it's important enough for her to let my doctor know that I've phoned, and that to me is getting very, very naughty. But it's a system. It's not suddenly a great, everybody in the world is becoming 10 times more ill. It's a system. And our particular surgery is now part of something that's called Greystoke or something. No, but it's got an overall name, and it operates under one head of practice, if you like, one supremo, and as a consequence, everything has become totally disassociated. I don't know I used to know all the girls in the surgery. I used to know everybody who dealt with my chemist. I used to know all the doctors. Not anymore. And not only that, I can't guarantee to get the same doctor, despite the fact I've got a letter from the NHS some time ago saying I've got a dedicated doctor. I have to insist upon it. And the receptionists in the main don't even know about it. So the whole thing is medicine at the street level was not meant for the globalization practices that are now in place. And that's why you have this problem.
Well, when I phoned up for my ear infection last week, they said, "Oh, we can give you a phone consultation." I was like, No, I'm not going to have a phone consultation for an earache. I want you to actually look in my ear. And is it an infection? And lo and behold, it was. But they I don't know, tried wasting their own time by trying to do a phone consultation for an ear infection. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Well, I think that we've got a good rant on about that.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I do have another story here.
right.
One that kind of gets on my nerves, actually. It says here, from the King. Um, King thinks UK shouldn't hide its role in the slave trade. Now, I'm getting quite sick of this narrative of the UK's role in the slave trade. Yes, at one point we did own slaves in this country, and pretty much every country, I think every single country in the world has at one point in time had slavery. But
Yes.
our role in slavery was getting rid of it. We went around the world and tried to get slavery back abolished, and we did do that. We, in this country, paid reparations already, not to the slaves, but to the slave owners. We paid reparations to the slave owners so we could help them financially so they didn't have to use slave labor because it was immoral to do so. I'm sick of this narrative of the UK is a racist because of, the UK is a racist country because of its role in slavery. I'm sick of this narrative because it's not true. We are the ones who abolished it. Anyway, that's my rant.
Well, you're right, but it was a very controversial issue, and no more than 200 yards from here is a gentleman who represented Lewis as an MP named Mad Jack Fuller. Mad Jack Fuller. Now, Mad Jack woke up one morning to find out that his uncle, who owned all sorts of plantations in the West Indies, had left him the whole shebang. And even when he was only 21 or 22, he became incredibly wealthy. And he, to his dying day, believed in the slave trade. And the reason being, partly, is because it generated the cash that made him very wealthy and have a very nice way of life. Mad Jack, by the way, built a whole bunch of follies across East Sussex, towers and buildings that apparently had no purpose. But he also was a great benefactor. He bought the lighthouse in Eastbourne. He bought the lifeboat in Eastbourne. He contributed to Faraday's cage, which means that we have television today, and he contributed to the Davies lamp, which saved the lives of miners. So slavery, evil, all the things he did with the money, good. So how do you put those things together?
It's the same with Abraham Lincoln. He abolished slavery, good guy. He owned slaves, bad. But he was the one who abolished slavery. That's why they've been tearing down his statues in America. They tear down statues of Abraham Lincoln in America. It's like, what are you doing? He's the one who freed the slaves. Oh, but he was a racist. Of course he was. He was born in the 1700s.
You're saying, Max, there's a lot of stupid people in America.
Yeah.
If you'd go there, you would realise what a peasant feudal country it is. Apart from New York on the East Coast and on the West part, there's a bunch of peasants. It's almost like a little horrible tribe coming out. Like. Anyway, the news.
Hang on, Stuart. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a clip whilst we get settled down.
I will disappear. Thank you for letting me be with us this morning and have a rant. You've now got the old man.
Oh, bollocks, I'm leaving.
The old curmudgeon.
The old
I'm getting him wound up already.
At least I've got all my bloody senses.
We'll play.
For you.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to play January Final. I've not seen this one. This is a
Okay.
new clip.
I think that's to do with the Priory. I think.
I think so. All right, here we go. Takes a while.
He never bring you down or leave you alone. Trust him all in all, 'cause he's the light. He'll lead your way through darkest of times. He'll never let you go. And he'll be there for you. And he'll be there for you. He'll never bring you down or leave you alone. Trust him all in all, 'cause he's the light. And he leads your way through darkest of times. He never lets you go. And he'll be there for you. Be there for you. He'll be there for you. Be there for you. And he'll be
A very good day to you. I'm Edward Stick, Esquire. If you stay around long enough with Mirador Television, we'll see a lot of one another. This is Lewis Priory. Some people think it's just a pile of old stones. I suppose if you want to see it like that, you can. But between 1084 and 1537, it was a magnificent Cluniac priory. It had its share of troubles. King William didn't want it built at all. Some of the monks and some of the buildings were roughed up when the Battle of Lewes spilled over into its grounds in 1264. The French attacked it during the 100 Years' War of the 14th and 15th centuries. King Henry VIII tried to pull it down in 1537. And the good citizens of Lewes looted the bricks and stones to build other grand houses and homes. But it's still here. These fascinating ruins tell a fascinating story. Their guardian is my friend Jenry. January is a medieval knight who fought in the Battle of Lewes and now stands vigil over the buildings and grounds. We've become good pals, and he's agreed that over the next series of programs we should tell you about the Priory and the things that have happened here over the past 1,000 years. We also want to put it into context, so we'll mix in stories about Lewes under the Romans and its development with the Saxons. I hope we turn out to be good storytellers, because it's some story. And there's the added bonus of hearing the beautiful voice of our friend Yeva. Mixed in with some ghostly chanting monks and perhaps a little medieval music. I hope it's a programme you'll pop in to see from time to time. Must go and see January now. We've a lot of planning to do. Okay, Yeva, sing us out. Doodle pip.
Never bring you down or leave you alone. Trust him all in all, 'cause he's the light. He'll lead your way through darkest of times. He'll never let you go, and he'll be there for you, and he'll be there for you.
Okay, and welcome back to Miracle Television. Stuart Dolby has joined us now.
Good morning. Good morning.
So Stuart is here. You were off this morning because of
Domestic
issues.
problems.
Yeah, we'll go into them. But how have you been, first of all?
How do I what?
How have you been?
I'm all right. I'm very well. Yeah. Oh, just,
Okay, is that it?
Well, how have I been? Well, I'm honestly as worried as anybody else about the climate change. It doesn't seem to worry you too much.
No, it doesn't.
Right, no, quite. Nothing seems to worry you, because you live in a little goldfish bowl. Anyway, what else? Yeah, I'm getting very, very cross about some of the renewable energy things that are going on. I've been writing about those for years, as you know, and it's quite crazy. Do you just want a little snippet here?
No, we'll save it
Oh,
for
okay.
energy matters properly. If you could move this way a bit, Stuart. That way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which one?
We were just arguing earlier. About
discussing, I think.
Discussing. Discussing quite heatedly. Discussing heatedly about the midterm elections and will Ron DeSantis run for president? I say no. He says yes. Obviously, once again, we disagree.
Well, obviously, you ought to bow to age and experience.
No, I think you should bow to young and hip and actually knowing what's going on.
No, I think the young people don't have a bloody clue what's going on.
No, I agree with you. Young people in general do not have a clue. In general. Yeah, we've been through a couple stories this morning. We had a story in the Daily Mail that said, why are the GPs still using COVID as an excuse for not seeing patients?
I don't know. Well, at my end, again, I agree. As far as I can see, there's been a terrific burnout of doctors because of the pandemic and all that kind of thing, and shortages and all that. It's quite possible, Max, that people do get exhausted if they're put in the front line like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So I would think, and
Do you know what the average GP...
and also, right, because of your wretched Brexit, we haven't got the foreign doctors coming here in the same numbers. Another bloody problem with Brexit. Yes.
Oh no, more British people can be doctors.
Oh really?
Oh really?
It takes 7 years to be a doctor.
Yeah. Well, do you know what the average salary for a GP is?
No.
£98,000. Average salary for a GP.
That deserves it. 98,000.
98,000.
Yeah, well, good luck. They do bloody important work. You'd rather have that spent on them than on a Trident missile, wouldn't you?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But most of the money goes to the administrators, really. And that's.
Where did you get that from? You get from Tony Blair, yes, of course.
Oh yeah, Tony Blair.
Tony
Blair, my idol.
I think your thinking is like a piece of spaghetti. It goes all over the bloody place and doesn't come to a right conclusion. Now, the thing though, go back to what you were saying before, the doctors. The doctors are doing a very, very, very good job, and it's quite obvious that they are but subject to burnout. I know when I've been to see doctors when I've talked about this. And secondly, why can't we have the foreign doctors in a lot more? Because Brexit. And I think the past 4 or 5 months, the doctors I've seen are of lower pigmentation. Let's put it that way.
Lower pigmentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got jabs in both arms recently, one for the flu test and one for the measles.
Mm-hmm.
And a very beautiful medic did it for me. And she was of darker pigmentation in her skin. So there you go.
Okay, I don't understand what the point of that.
Well, I do worry about your search techniques. You only seem to actually alight on the what you want, the answer you want, rather than what the polls suggest.
What polls?
Polls that people take.
Oh right. Okay.
Polls, not polls that you stand up and do dancing around. Polls. Right.
Yeah. Well, the pollsters.
How do you spell polls?
Don't ask me that question.
Come on.
No. Anyway.
Which poll am I talking about?
I don't have to spell either.
Right. a poll about a poll. A poll, people where people are asking. No, that's not right, is it? What is the difference between a poll? A poll is something that goes across the barrier, or is thrown up bloody feet up in the games in Aberdeen or outside of Aberdeen. And Pole is a short name for a Polish person. P-O-L-E, P-O-L-L. Polls about what people think when asked by interviewers. Pollsters, they're called pollsters. It's a bit tricky for you, isn't it? It's more than 6 letters. Pollsters. Okay, what's your next little gem of wisdom?
I forgot because you rudely interrupted me. Totally forgot what I was going to say now. God damn it.
It's my ADHD. It still worked again, isn't it? It shuts you
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep on talking till the other side gives in. You see. That's what ADHD does for me.
Yes. Okay. Well, I've given in. You can continue now then.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I've never done it before.
I don't know. Just keep talking until the other side gives in. Sure.
Well, you've already lost them. You've lost two games. So
I think no. The first one, okay, I was right about, and still am, and will be right. And you'll see in a few months' time, because it's a short way down the line now, about the Ron DeSantis thing.
what's Ron DeSantis thing?
Yeah, Ron DeSantis.
Right. Okay. Let's make one easier for you, shall we? So whatever Williamson is now left the cabinet. Do you agree that that is the right thing to do? Do you think that Mr. Nunez is actually getting the other one, Cruella de Vil, isn't it, the Home Secretary, or Cruella de Vil?
I don't know.
Who is
But he was the
lady of the pigmentation has actually now got her job back as Home Secretary, isn't she?
Is she?
Yes.
Oh, what did the
Horace gave that to him. And now, what's it? Williamson, Gavin Williamson, isn't it?
he was the chief of whip.
Yes, and then he was other things as well. He was the education minister, and now he's been book to book because he told some one of his officials to slit his throat and various other abuse. And bloody Sunak just left him standing there. He hasn't fired him as a cabinet meeting even now.
Well, it's quite.
People in your hated media are saying this is a sign of weakness. Hiring these two people back when they've done abominable things is not on. It's not part of our democracy. Or it shouldn't be.
Abominable things. What did they do that was abominable other than being rude?
Oh, I don't know what you tell someone to slit their throat is not bloody abuse. Are you really
Who
stupid?
did he tell that to?
Huh?
Who did he tell that to?
Oh, one of his officials.
One of his officials.
Yes. God, do you feel that's a dismissible offence? You're fired. Oh, he's still there.
No, I'm just not surprised when a politician says something extremely rude like that. It's like, oh my God, did you hear a politician said something bad?
Yet you believe every word that those idiots, Farage and Trump, take in. You know, I mean, you almost go to bed every night saying, God bless Nigel Farage. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Honestly, Stuart.
Times we live in. So Williamson, you believe he should be fired?
Well, he's resigned now. He's got.
Yeah. He's still an MP. And
Oh,
another
he's
member
still
of your
an
beloved
MP.
Conservative Party
Same
is
shit.
making a complete fool of himself, and I'm a celebrity getting out of here.
No,
Matt Hancock.
Oh God.
Matt Hancock is the ultimate loser.
He is. Yeah.
And
I agree.
my wife, who actually watched these celebrity programs very closely, she said, "Oh, it's Mike Tingle there. He's unbelievably amazing. He's amazingly good about doing all these kind of things." So I wish he is that. You know, Mike Tyndall is somehow going to do something very nasty to Matt Hancock, who actually did that tremendous damage to the epidemic by selling off to one of his mates, didn't he? The pill for the pills. Yes. All right. So you still interested in? I tell you what.
I never liked
I tell you what
it.
the problem with the Conservative Party is they have fin du siècle. Do you know what that means?
Oh, I don't know foreign.
Right.
What did you say?
Well, foreign, right? Fin du siècle is end of the time. They're tired. Find a sec, end of the era, end of the what's it.
Right.
They've had their time. They're now tired, and they're corrupt, and they're all kinds of things.
Right.
But you carry on being conservative.
I've never said I'm not saying I said I lean conservative, but I won't vote for the Conservative Party because they're not conservative enough.
Mm.
They're
Now,
not conservative
that's another
at
thing.
all.
Isn't it absolutely right? The FT would have this headline on every other paper, including the gutter press, all the Murdoch papers, are on the front page. Is Gavin Williamson. Okay. I think even your beloved Torygraph, the Telegraph, the Daily Torygraph.
What does it say here?
Yeah.
Williamson, yeah. Williamson.
Yeah.
Headline.
And yet, look, they go with this thing. Crypto exchange on the brink of liquidity crisis, sparks call for help. Blimey, I could have told them that ages and ages ago. What do you think about
you
crypto?
got the paper right in your.
Well, all right, okay.
No, you can use it. Just you.
Judge,
Look,
I appreciate your attempts to be a stage manager, but don't start having a go at me.
I'm not going to go at you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There we are. Okay.
Honestly, what do I think of cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
I think it's very risky to even go near it because it. Do you know what NFTs are?
NFTs?
Yeah, have you heard of these?
FNTs?
NFTs?
No.
No? Okay, well then you wouldn't. Too
What
much
is it?
to explain. But I can't. If you don't know what it is, then it's
Well,
too difficult to explain.
cryptocurrency stems back to the 15th century, doesn't it? When they didn't have any currency at all, so they decided they would use tulips. In Germany, they used to use tulips as a currency. Now, when the gold crisis was going on and on and on and on, they basically had to assign some kind of value to the currencies. So it was, what is it, 3.5 to the dollar, 5 to the dollar, wasn't it? We used to, as we kids, we used to call, have you got a dollar? There was 5 gold little things. Value of that was 5 to the dollar. So the dollar was worth 5, whatever it was. And then if you move further on, you have this cryptocurrency, which is, see, gold on its own is absolutely worthless. Or you can use it in certain chemical problems, but it doesn't. But therefore, you give gold a value so that people have a currency, not a lump of gold to sort of pass around, because the shops won't take a lump of gold.
Right.
Right, now, come on, it was fun. What other fun we got? What have you got inside there?
There was one story that you walked in on the end of, but I was complaining because here it is. So, from the Daily Mail here, from the King. King thinks UK shouldn't hide its role in the slave trade. Now that gets on my nerves quite a bit.
Shouldn't hide its role.
Shouldn't hide its role. It gets on my nerves about the narrative about the slave trade. How we were the worst and we had slavery and it's so terrible. And we, because we did slavery, we are an inherently racist country. That is the narrative that is going around right now among my generation. And it's infuriating because it's not true. What we did.
Well, say what Charles said again.
We should. UK shouldn't hide its role in the slave trade.
Well, I agree with that, really. Why its role in the slave trade is they're doing something about it now, aren't they? Or, your lovely protesters are.
Well, I'm sick of this narrative about how
slavery is very difficult. Slavery was from a long time.
Yeah,
American problem. Now, when you talk about slavery, are we actually talking about things like grooming by in Rotherham, for example, by the Albanian gangs, the Pakistani gangs, were grooming people and grooming kids. Look what the Albanians are doing already. We've
got more important things to talk about than current
slavery.
Yeah,
these people are grooming slaves.
No, we can't talk about current slaves right now. Did you know bad things happened 400 years ago? that I don't understand why we can't talk about the grooming gangs. I really don't. I agree with you there.
God, oh, I can't believe you're saying this. So it's okay to speak about grooming gangs now, but not when they were 400 years old.
No. I
Yes,
was
you
being
are.
sarcastic.
Oh, right.
What I was saying is, we can't talk about the grooming gangs that are going on right now. Didn't you know slavery happened 400 years ago?
Yeah.
That's the narrative
Oh, really?
around my generation.
Yeah. Well,
No one talks about what's going on in Rotherham and Rochdale and Whitechapel. No one's talking about it because they don't want to start race issues or race relations or race riots.
Where do you get your information from? Where do you get all this from? I can't believe
The
you.
police are ignoring it. You know about these grooming gangs that are going on, right?
Yeah.
If you know about it, the police know about it.
Yeah.
Why are they not doing anything?
Well, I'm very different to the police. I'm a suave, educated, rather nice, middle-class person.
Rather nice.
Which actually is actually true. I have liberal values, and I actually are very interested in what is the slavery. Well, I'm not an MP. I don't have access to power. The only power I have is by writing about renewable energy and hoping some people read it and take things, take it further. But in terms of modern day slavery, I mean, isn't that kind of thing talk about slavery in the 19th century? Or is it? Or you think Prince Charles talking about?
Let me explain. All right, we're jumping around from subject to subject, so let's stick to one thing.
It's just to confuse you, though.
Yeah, you're trying to confuse me. So let me repeat this one more time. The UK shouldn't hide its role in slavery from the king. That's what Charles said.
Right.
Now, what I'm irritated about is the narrative that goes on around my generation. Is that we are an inherently bad country because of what we did 400 years ago. We had slaves, which is true. We did have slaves, and it was bad, yes. But the British Empire were the ones who abolished slavery. We went around the world on a crusade to get rid of slavery. We paid reparations in this country already, not to the slaves, but we paid reparations to the slave owners. We gave them enough money so it was profitable for them to not use slavery. That's who we paid reparations to. And then we went around the world stopping slavery from happening. So I'm sick of this narrative of we are a bad country because we did slavery. We did something bad 400 years ago. But we also did something really, really, really good for 400 years ago by abolishing slavery.
Well, I agree to abolishing it, yeah, but I don't know that it was just around the world. I think it was slavery, mostly in the States, and then goes on and on today. Even.
No, we went to Asia and Africa, the States, and a few other European countries.
Yeah, well, actually, I've been to these places. You wouldn't have a clue even where they are, let alone whether it's.
No, I wouldn't have a clue. But 400 years ago, you're speaking from experience, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm coming out to my 400th birthday. You realise that? Of course, there should be reparations, but you've got to remember. Actually,
no, we've done the reparations.
No, hang on. There was guys in Parliament, like the Free Traders, and also the Abolition of Pharaoh who was that famous? The guy who started the Salvation Army. He was getting rid of the slavery and that kind of thing. That was the 19th, 20th century, and what had gone on in the past. Yeah, I agree with that. But, I mean, it's just getting redemption, isn't it?
I don't think we should pay reparations for something we did 400 years ago. I don't think we should pay them now. And this idea that people deserve reparations for their great grandparents is ridiculous.
So what are you going to do? Bung them on a boat and send them back to Calais?
No, I'm talking about slavery. When that really happened. I'm not talking about the current thing that's going on right now in Rotherham and Rochdale and all these disgusting places. But we can talk about that then, if you want to, about what's going on in Whitechapel and all these places.
Yeah, where's Whitechapel?
London.
Yeah, I know, I've been there, but why did you pick on that?
That's where a lot of the grooming gang take place as well. Same with Rotherham, Rochdale, Whitechapel, the three big
Where do
places.
you get your actual information from?
These
got
are
a
the
source
three
of the-
main hubs
You've got
of the
apparently
child
you've
trafficking
got one
in
of
the
these. You've got
UK.
one of these websites like QAnon. I mean, it's not called that. You've got one over here, but it's quite weird. And you've got all your wokey people to deal with, haven't you? What are you going to do with them when it comes to? Oh dear. I didn't know about Whitechapel. I certainly knew about Rotherham because when I was with the FT, I went up there and did some. Well, I mean, if you go to, for example, somewhere like Leicester, I went there towards my end of my career at the FT, so it's 10 years ago, and the Hindus there. I went into a factory there. It was the ultimate sweatshop. They had their little girl, their daughters, being paid £3 a week, 3p a week, right?
Where?
Yeah, in Leicester.
In Leicester?
Yeah.
What year?
Well, it would have been in the 1990s.
What?
Yes, in Leicester, and they were family people, and they just were working in sweatshops. And you did have slavery in Hong Kong and China,
Well, we still do, yeah.
to get the money to get all these, to do these things. That's where slave labor in China do Nike boots.
Yeah, and it's annoying because Nike is a woke company. They're all fighting for diversity and inclusion, and always have their gay pride flags and the racial pride flags every year. Well, but then they're out in China making little slave kids make their shoes.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's a little parallel sort of with their energy companies, isn't it? Oh, we are going to give you lots of money to help you with your bills. Do they?
We're going to give you free money.
Yeah.
Free money.
Actually, I did actually get through my door a voucher for 66 quid.
Oh, is that it?
So that's the first one of the £400.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're going to be over 6 instalments, you see. But it runs out.
Will my household be 6 instalments, or might be 10 because we get more because of
You
the
get
single parent household?
You get 650
650
because you're poor.
Yeah.
So you get in all you get 1,500. No, 1,250.
Right.
I think.
I wonder how often that would be.
No, 6. No, what is that? So.
Oh yes, they're doing it in the instalments.
Yeah,
because if you send it all in one lump sum, they'll
everybody go down to the Billzer and spend it.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to do later today?
Not at all. No. I pay my own way.
Well, that's what people were doing with the stimulus checks over in America because they came in lump sums and they just went, "Wow, I got $1,200 all in one go. Let's go out. Let's go on holiday."
Well, no, this is a very interesting point. When Osborne back in the day said to people, pensioners, they can take out their lump sums, and what people did, take out a lump sum, went on holiday in Honolulu or bought a big car, found out as they lived much longer, their pensions wouldn't suffice. And so that is.
I don't know how people didn't see that coming.
What? What the pensions?
No, taking your money out of your pension and then going, "Oh, wait, where's my money?" That does seem ridiculous.
No, a lot of people.
I know. I'm not saying that.
A lot of people took the lump sum.
No, I know.
Now, my benefit is, I don't know, this might be a bit too complicated for you. My benefit is I got 2 pensions, right, from the Financial Times. It's very good. Yeah.
2 pensions from the Financial Times, or you have 2 pensions?
Yeah, no, I've got 5 pensions. 5 pensions. 5 pensions? I've got the state pension. Got a state pension.
Yeah. 2
from the FT. 1 annuity. No, 1 annuity. 2 annuities. Yeah. But the pension at Pearson, you see, it was a very good pension because my wife also worked there. When she died, I got 60% of hers. And they were.
Still get 60? Do you still get that?
Hang on a second.
All right.
No. If I should predecessor Leslie, she would actually get 60%. And mine is really quite worth a few bob. Now, the thing about it is that he should never have actually let people take out their lump sum. Fortunately for me, when I had a little passing thought, I might just help out my daughter in California a bit more. And they said, your final salary schemes, you can't take out the lump sum.
Were you going to take out a lump sum?
I thought about it for once, but you see, I happen to know about pensions, a great deal about pensions, as you know. And these final salary pensions are gold dust. They're the best investment you possibly can have because it's for life, all right?
Mm.
Now, partly, well, I shouldn't be saying this really, partly because of the pensions, I have an income. I haven't taken my lump sum, but my income is big enough. Let's put it this way. My lump sum is about 1,500 because I was putting in it for right, so you know, I'm also on 500. I can't cash in any of that. So it's for life. But as long as if it's an average pension, what's it? People can take it. Yeah. I said I can't take it. That's it. So people say to me, "Are you a millionaire?" I said, "Well, on paper I am. It's just that I don't have exposure to the lump sum." On the other hand, it is reflected in my income, which is, you know, as you know, quite considerable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I'm very, very pleased to hear that Rishi Sunak, or Hunt, whoever you like to pick, has still installed the triple lock. That
Yes,
is very,
was
very
talking
good for your
Can you
planning.
explain that to me? Because I really don't quite understand what that actually means.
Well, there's three parts to it. First of all, what does the triple lock, what does your pension do? What do you get it for? I mean, how much do you get for it? So my pension, they send me a letter saying we are going to put your pension up by 3.6% in January, in line with the national Watson. Now, I've had my pension for over 20 years, so it's almost double, right? But I'm not quite sure what the state pension is. That I think they're going to put it up with inflation now. Okay, and then at the end of the day, the triple lock is first that one, and second is that one. If you see what I mean. And there's a third thing. By the end of the day, you get another benefit. I can't think what it is. Oh yeah, inheritance tax. You get that reduced, I think. So there's a triple lock on the pension, right? The triple lock means you can't spend it. You can't spend the lump sum. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
But I think you're going to find the state pension won't go up for about £3. It'll probably go up quite a lot more, which is a good thing.
Well, by the time I'm a pensioner,
Yeah.
go a long way down the line. Well, but probably by the time I'm, what is the retirement age? It
depends.
67.
Because they keep moving the goalposts now, don't they?
Yeah, it's 67 right now, I think.
I think
But by the time I'm 67, it'll probably be 75.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pensions are a wonderful investment if you get the right one.
Yeah, I need to start thinking about that. I mean, even though I'm only 19 now,
well,
it's probably best to start.
I told you about I tell you about my daughters, didn't I? Tell you the story about my daughters?
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time, I saw with them, and I said, look, I believed in pensions, right? So I said, look, I think you're now in your early 20s, you should start a pension. And they said, why? And I said, well, I'll tell you why. Einstein said, the eighth wonder of the world, modern world, is, what is the word? Compounding, right?
Right.
Einstein said the world is compounding, right? So if I put £20, £100 in a pension for each of you to start off with, £100, right? Then in your 20s, in your 30s, you would have to put in £250 to meet your target of 60,000 pension, right? Mm-hmm. If you left it to 40 or 40s, you wouldn't reach that target, whatever you try to put in. Okay?
Yeah.
So the idea about the pension is that it compounds very, very rapidly. £100 in your 20s means you've got 40 years to do it for him. In your 30s, it's 250 you'd have to put in to do it. 40s, there's no sum that would actually make you pension. So I reckon that my daughters, two of my daughters anyway, have still got their pensions going. I think that's probably one of the best things I could have done for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably best if I start early as well. I mean, why wouldn't I? It seems Yeah, we can talk about that.
This morning on the radio, on the radio, I heard that the
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your Financial Times there.
Yeah.
Your camera is frozen for some reason.
Really? You've been shouting at it.
What I'm going to do is we're going to go to a clip whilst you get that sorted out, and I'm going to figure out why that camera isn't working anymore. So we're going to go to a clip. Okay. What can we play here? So we have Triple Along With Me, Part 1. I'm not sure what this is, but we're going to play it anyway. He's compiled a bunch of clips to play, and a lot of them I've never seen before, so it's new to me as well to you. So here we go.
Just the one, Miss Eddie. Just the one. She didn't want me to introduce this program at all, but I fought for it, and here I am. Just the one, Miss Eddie. Our drinks program that will cover the spirits, the wine, and the beer industries, not only locally, but throughout the world. Oh, joy.
You can give it back to me now. Come on. Thank you.
In fact, have a tipple. I need a drink. Evil spirits are brewed in Lewis. Here we go again. Pubs in Lewis. I feel like a drink. Why did Lewis have so many pubs? 63? 63 pubs. Oh my goodness. I think I will pop in for a quick drink. Lewis, drinking I come. Meanwhile, where's that pint? Vroom, vroom. So, it turned into a pub. They sure tippled in Lewis in the past.
Time, gentlemen, please.
One of the beauties of living in this part of the world is we have lots and lots of breweries, macro, micro, and somewhere in between. Oh, and boy, do they turn out an enjoyable product. See what I mean in a moment?
The main ingredients in any beer are water, malted grains, hops, and yeast. Hops are the flowers of the hop plant, which are used for flavoring. The only other uses for hops are in herbal medicine. With these 4 ingredients, you have everything you need to make beer, but the combinations and processes make all the difference. All of these ingredients are boiled together for set amounts of time until the final mixture is filtered and sent to fermentation. Mineral contents in your water source can make a huge difference to the type of beer that you brew.
For our bachelor's level students who are taking a class called The Art and Science of Brewing, take that malted barley, put it into our mill and crack it open to expose that starch inside. We're going to start with around 500 pounds of grain, which gives us about anywhere from 8 to 12 bags of grain. From there, it goes up through our auger and into the grist case and turn it into sugar. And that process can take anywhere from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours. Assurance and quality control testing we do, looking at sugar contents, which we call gravity, looking at our yeast under a microscope to try and count yeast cells that are healthy.
The history of the English inns or pubs is fascinating. So the next programme, courtesy of the British Council, takes us through the history of the English Inn. And then, just to finish it off, what pubs recently were like just before lockdown. They've suffered a bit since, but this is a story of a long tale into a pub and an inn. Join me.
Flanked by the church, the rectory, and the people's homes, stands the inn. In its shade and beneath its roof, men of all degrees and of all opinions meet in comradeship and comfort. Walk through any English market town and you'll find the inn at the centre of its life. On market day, the people from the country around meet there to discuss the trend of prices, their children's health and their home affairs. It's the same in the villages. When the sun warms the earth, they sit outside and watch the world go by. At the English inn today, there is a hospitality that to the host is just as much a sacred charge as it was to the monks and barons in the Middle Ages, who first gave bread and ale to travellers. Often the only sanctuary in out-of-the-way parts, the monasteries had a lodge open to pilgrims and other wayfarers. Later, these lodges became separate establishments and were eventually run as inns, under such signs as the Pilgrim's Inn. One example of monastic origin is the Bull, which gets its name from the papal bull, or bill, not the animal. These inns of England have seen history happen in their yards. Pilgrims and warriors have trodden their stairways. Here, medieval knights refreshed themselves on their journeys to the Crusades, to fight under the banner of St. George. The inns have preserved much of England's architecture. The early inn has preserved some of the finest carvings and treasures. Like the church, it was a sanctuary. Hence, most of these carvings have a religious meaning.
Over the road from the shops, held up by ship's timbers, is the Gardener's Arms. There seems to be a tradition in Lewes, although no one admits to it, of omitting the epithet pub or tavern. This pub is called by locals simply the Gardeners. And the Gardeners it was. The origins of this pub go back to when it was an ordinary house, owned by a gardener. Often, after work, he would invite other gardeners into his front room for a drink. Eventually, it made sense to formalise the ritual, so it turned into a pub. The Gardener's is a true pub. Unusual now, it only serves pork pies and sausage rolls. Yet each year it's in the top tier of finalists for Pub of the Year. Stood proudly on the riverbanks. Harvey's Brewery, the key industry of the town. The bloody high street of a tiny town.
old man would give up pups for Lent or something, wouldn't you? Well, think on. He even gets absorbed in how the pubs were in Gentry's time. Luddite.
The Romans started the wine industry in this part of the world, and very fine wine they made indeed. During the First World War, the British government almost killed it because they needed sugar and other things needed to grow vines for the war effort. And I'm happy to say that vineyards now are flourishing, and I've visited a lot of them. I hope that over the next few weeks you'll come with me.
English sparkling wines are beginning to win an enviable reputation across the globe, and that reputation is turning into sales. British supermarket chain Waitrose has reported a 188% increase in sales of English sparkling wine last year, and that trend is expected to continue. The soil and climatic conditions in southern England are remarkably similar to those of the Champagne region in France. So much so that leading French champagne house Taittinger has bought land in Kent and has begun producing English sparkling wine. But the owners of English vineyards are not prepared to take second place. Ridgeview Estate Wines in Ditchling has been producing English sparkling wine since 1994. And recently, the company received the prestigious accolade of having its wine served by the Queen to Chinese Premier Xi Jinping at a state dinner. Ridgeview is a family business which has a strong sense of history when it comes to its products. The vineyard's trademark is Merit, named in honour of Englishman Christopher Merit. This wine pioneer made a presentation to the Royal Society in London in 1662, explaining the process of making sparkling wines. That was 30 years before the French began producing champagne. Last year, Ridgeview produced a bumper crop and has similar ambitions for this year. The product can be seen at a variety of produce events in the region, notably Brighton and Hove's Food and Drink Fair in May. And the winemaker plans to repeat the success of last year when it introduced its range of sparkling wines to New Yorkers. Want to check out the claims that Ridgeview makes? There are plenty of stockists within the Lewes district. As one might suspect, it's available at Harvey's, but also Larder in Ditchling, Middle Farm on the road to Eastbourne, and of course the English Wine Centre at Drusilla's Roundabout. These successes have created a rush to develop new vineyards in Sussex. Licence applications last year were up by 40%. It's not just sparkling wines that are gaining a reputation. Still wines have also been around a long time. Both are now beginning to take the French market by storm, as demonstrated by the French purchase of acreage in Kent. The key question now is if growth will mean a larger and more expansive English wine industry, or a homegrown luxury product suitable for big and glittering occasions. For the moment, only time will tell. Tasting a true competitor of French champagne. So next up on Food Glorious Food, a new way to sell wines in Lewes. Symposium has a friendly, laid-back atmosphere with staff who clearly have a passion for wine. Symposium has a limited range of Sussex wines, but what they have is top draw, and its range of quality grape types is within most budgets. Whether it's the cheese and meat platter, a single malt scotch, crunchy local bread or a glass or two of decent claret, this wine bar has found a unique way to sell its wines. And in today's world of big is better, the Symposium has found its niche.
Okay, and welcome back to Mirador Television. That was a very interesting clip. I've not seen that before. All about wine and alcohol and local pubs. I mean, what was it? 64 pubs that used to be in Lewis.
Yeah, 15 now.
15 now. I mean, 15 is still quite a decent amount for a population of what, 17,000?
Well, we always used to say that. How we claim it's 19,000 now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, new census.
Yeah, and also there were 22 pubs about 10 years ago. And we all used to say, well, how can we sustain that kind of number of pubs? You know, we haven't got that many dedicated drinkers, but they all seem to stay alive for a long time. And then all of a sudden, of course, with the pandemic, they started disappearing like it's nuts. And now with the energy bills, which are really affecting them.
Yeah.
Now that I shall tell you about the way that
I was going to take my friend for his 18th birthday to the pub and have a proper night out, but neither of us could afford it. So we ended up just going to Sainsbury's and buying a bunch of drinks and end up drinking at my house instead. Because just going to the pub is too expensive. You cannot afford it.
Well, the average pub here, the cheapest pint is the Gardeners, which is £4, right? £4
for the cheapest pint.
For a pint here, it's £4.95. So they're on to £5 a pint, which is quite a lot for, as you say. That's
so I was in London yesterday.
It's not bad, £9 a pint.
Yeah, but in London it's £9. I didn't buy any in London.
Well, I'm going out.
But I went
London.
into
where do it go in London?
All over the place.
Like where?
Museums,
Imperial
War Museum, Holocaust Museum. Went to Trafalgar Square, went to Kensington, Piccadilly Circus, and
you're a tourist.
A couple other places. Yeah.
I'm going up on Friday.
Yeah. What are you going for?
Going to my club. Stay in my club, the Frontline Club.
Oh, okay.
In Praed Street. You know I belong to that. It's a war correspondence club. Very successful club. No, one of my greatest friends and colleagues actually is Martin Woolacott, a great journalist and he died unfortunately.
Oh, sorry.
And his wife also died, and we see when you are in war zone situations, you develop an unbreakable camaraderie with people. You think you're going to die, so you become very, very close. And the four of us was John Swain, who worked for the Observer, Martin Willicott, Colin Smith for the Observer, John Swain for the Sunday Times, and me for the Financial Times. And I told you how I got. So I said, I have to go, and I want to go, so I should be going up to London. I'll probably have a nice day in London, possibly going out to the Scrubs and see about my late wife's bench, or maybe going to a few of my old halls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, London's getting more like Brighton.
No, actually,
yeah.
You know what? I saw less homeless people in London than I do in Brighton.
Really? Yeah,
Seriously,
yeah,
it was quite strange because me and my friend, we went up there together, and we both go to Brighton a lot. She still goes to college there. I used to go to college down there multiple times a week, and we were shocked. We were just like, "Where are the homeless people? Where are the homeless people? They're everywhere in Brighton. You can't not bump into a crackhead."
Well, the people are pitching tents and things now, aren't they?
In Brighton, yeah.
I was talking to the people who live in Brighton yesterday, and they were saying, I said, what you said, and they said, I know, it's ghastly, it's awful now. And this Liberal Democrat, this Green Council doesn't seem to care, does it? I mean, it's awful.
You would think them, being the socialist types, would love to help out the homeless.
Anyway, the Greens, of course they would.
You would think.
Yeah.
But that's not the way it is.
I mean, on the one hand, there's this whole sort of Graham Greene thing about its naughtiness and its decadence and its seediness, and there's somehow that's sort of vaguely attractive in some sort of way. But then, when you see all this kind of thing that's going on, it's so sad, I think, and rather dangerous and threatening in a way.
Yeah. I mean, the other day I was in Brighton, and last week, this was, where Boots is?
Yeah, you told me, yeah.
Two people just sitting there shooting up heroin, and then they're just sitting there like, like zombies.
Actually, last time I was up and down and doing my imperial research, empirical, and there's only 2 people on the streets.
Where?
Down the bottom. 3. 1, 2, 3.
In Lewis.
Yeah. So I gave one of them a pound and said, "Don't spend it all at once." Well, they laughed. I was told by the Democrat people that there are 8 people on the streets and 4 of them have got homes in Lambert. So I don't know whether that's true. Yeah.
Say that again?
Well, they've got to have a bit of folding money, haven't they?
Repeat that.
Pay the rent. But they've got homes in Lambert.
From the beginning. Yeah. Who told you this? What did they say? Repeat that from the very beginning.
A couple of the Liberal Democrats chancellors whose names shall remain untold.
Speak a bit louder so they can.
Right. Well, this is a Liberal town. You would have thought that people
would care.
Yeah, and also there's a housing list of about 1,000, but I think half of that is upgrading.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. My neighbours just had their house. They moved because they had 8 people living in a 3-bedroom house.
No, that's not good, is it?
No, it's not. And that was 8 official people. That wasn't cousins and nephews staying around and whatnot. But
shall I tell you this snippet news about the energy sector?
Sure. So you go into Energy Matters.
Well,
try to figure out.
Well, it's right. We'll do it now.
All right. So we'll just go to the park for a moment. Okay, so welcome back to Mirador. So Stuart, you're on. Would you like to go through energy matters?
Yeah, well, there's a very interesting wrinkle, or a misdemeanor, you might say, of the big cartel of energy companies, where they're all going to send in data on their pre-smart meters down to people with prepayment meters. Now, I don't know if many people know about prepayment meters, but they are like pay and you go on your phone. And they are much cheaper than the ones that the cartel would give you on a smart meter phone, in a sense that the data on a smart meter phone is very unreliable, because somehow they don't really, that meter won't tell you. It's based often on an estimate, like if you spent this much last year, then we'll use that figure to use it this year. It's an estimate, it's not an actual proper charge. So they're putting those charges down on the pre-meter payment people, because at the moment, well, I don't know why they're doing it, but at the moment, a lot of people, I think it's about 7 million, are moving to pre-meters to have cheaper things. And they're not getting cheaper things because the cartel, who've done all, as we know over the couple of years, what I've told you, this cartel is 6 big companies, isn't it, right? It's British Gas, English, EDF, French, E.ON, German, Scottish Power has got Spanish interests, and the 6th one is up to debate now. It's either OVO or Octopus, but they seem to feel they can do whatever they like with an energy cap. For most people, energy cap is a ceiling which the government sets, whereby the energy companies cannot go above, right? But they can go as near as they can. They can say 99% of what the Ofgem has set, okay? And so what happens is that they actually, when they get the income from the consumers, they're supposed to invest it in better more paid energy and so forth and so on. But in fact, they give themselves unbelievably inflated incomes, like the head of British Gas, which is owned by Centrica. British Gas, I think the CEO there gets a salary of £2 million a year, right? And the shareholders get a fantastic amount of money. So
From British Gas.
yeah,
British Gas is a private company, though, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, British Gas is part of Centrica. It's a quality company. Yeah.
So British Gas is a private company as well.
Is it? Yeah, it's a private company owned by a public one. It's part of Centrica. Centrica owns it.
Right. Okay.
Now let me give you an example for that. Between January of 1st this year and the end of June, British Gas profits were, can you believe it, £1.3 billion. And yet they're pleading poverty, and therefore saying we haven't got any money, you can't do this, you can't do that. And they're paying themselves, which, as I say, CEO of £2 million. And all the big six have got fantastic payouts. None of them are short of £1 million. In fact, just to cap the matters, the boss of Ofgem, the regulator, he gets £310,000 a year. That's like a banker's salary, isn't it? It's crazy.
£310,000 a year?
Yeah. 310,000, 6-figure figure.
Wow.
310,000 a year. 310.
Yes.
000.
Yes.
Right?
300. Yes. Okay.
And what are they doing about it? Nothing. It's actually profiteering, basically.
Yeah, but if it's a private company, what can the government really do?
Well, it's a part. I just told you, it's a subsidiary of a public company. You know, public companies have subsidiaries, but they're companies, but they're not public. They're part of a public company. And what the government can do a lot.
Well, they can do a lot,
Yeah.
but they don't want to hurt their backers.
They're fellow capitalists. They're fellow profiteers.
I don't think the issue. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to say anything about that.
Right.
So is that energy matters? Is that really all there is?
Well, there's a couple of other things that, as I've been saying before that it seems that, this is what I've already just said, but I've been text all the years, haven't I? Right. Curb the energy bill profiteers. Whitehall officials are investigating possible profiteering by energy companies amid, hang on, I can't read this. I'm not dyslexic, I just got in the glasses. Right. Ministers launched the energy bill relief scheme last month to help business cope with soaring energy prices. But trade union body UK Hospitality complained that the difference between the price that the energy companies were paying for power on the wholesale market and how much they were charging their customers in the retail market, the charging on the retail had soared despite government intervention. This has resulted in business being quoted deals, quote, substantially above the wholesale cost, it claimed. So between the wholesale cost and the retail cost, all kinds of other costs have been, daily usage, all that kind of thing, been in it. So it's wicked. I mean, it's just another thing. And finally, one of the ones went bulb went bulb. It's now been bought by Octopus Energy. Well, bulb, right, it's being bought by Octopus Energy, which hasn't gone bust. Now, what the thing is there is that public or the taxpayer has been keeping bulb alive to the tune of £7 million. The Octopus costs right now. Right. Also, they secured a deal to buy the bail-out bulb under closed summon, a move that will relieve taxpayers of multi-million-pound burden. Bulb was nationalised last year and through the so-called special administration regime, when the soaring wholesale prices forced it under. It was the largest in a wave of failures in the energy market. Taxpayers have been footing the bill to keep the lights on for Bulb's 1.5 million customers as administrators sought to buy a ballot for the loss. As the talks drove on, the cost ran into billions of pounds. The deal cost for taxpayer a further £1 billion to buy the energy needed for Bulb's customers over this winter, meaning the total bill could hit £1.4 billion. Now, what do they pay for it, though? The government has been criticised for not hedging, which meant right, so forth and so on. So, these young men who've own Octopus have made an absolute killing. Made billions, which have come from the taxpayer. Should be the other way around, shouldn't it? Anyway.
Is that?
That's it. Yes,
that's it. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll go to a clip. It is Remembrance. It's Remembrance Day on Friday, the 11th of the 11th. So we're just going to play a short clip about Remembrance Day, just so everyone can remember. Okay, so on Friday is Remembrance Day, the 11th of the 11th. We are going to be doing a short segment on Remembrance Sunday. I think Keith will be out filming Remembrance Sunday, maybe. I'm not 100% certain, but we'll have that information for you tomorrow. But do stay tuned for Friday because we will be doing something for Remembrance Sunday, no matter what. So, Stuart, what did you have in the Financial Times there? You had a story?
Right. The government is struggling to secure. The government is struggling to secure long-term gas supply deals with foreign states as ministers fret about leaving taxpayers on the hook if gas prices fall in the coming years. Aha. What does that mean? Government is struggling to secure long-term gas supply deals with as ministers fret about leaving taxpayers on the hook if gas prices fall in the coming years. Oh, I see what they mean. That the gas prices, if it falls, they're going to be stuck in the price that they dealt with. I must said that the government was seeking political gas imports from countries. They've always been countries from Qatar. They've always been getting money from Qatar and Norway and US to ensure security of supply. Right. Yeah. Oh yes, that's it. Truss has set up an energy supply gas supply deals.
Who?
Truss. There's Truss when she was about 20-year. Truss Kwasi Kwarteng has signed a 20-year deal to buy gas from Norway after he warned that the government could end up too expensive. Oh no, got that wrong. Truss's councillor prevented the formula from signing a 20-year-old deal to buy gas from Norway after he warned the agreement could end up too expensive. Now that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's. But you see, it's the early one I was telling you about is the main one. Really. That the cartels were just using the money for themselves and not giving it to the shareholders.
Yeah. Well, there was a story in the Financial Times that actually piqued my interest.
Which was there?
That was the Financial Times Weekend Edition.
Yeah.
They had a story about Elon Musk and Twitter. And I'm following that quite closely. Have you been following that at all?
No, insofar as I read in the papers. Oh, well, I've just been, I'm not sure I told you, I've just been hacked by Facebook.
Really?
Yes.
Hacked by Facebook or your Facebook page hacked?
Hacked my Facebook, yeah.
By Facebook?
Yeah, Victor Mallet.
Tell me what's happened.
Victor Mallet sent me an email saying, Stuart, I've got some emails which are purported to come from you. But have you been hacked? And apparently I have. Somebody has been posting under my name, using my name. Right?
Right. What are the posts? Because we had that, and apparently we were selling on. I mean, Mirador's Facebook page was hacked, and apparently we were selling prostitutes and guns. Obviously, that's not true. We got that problem solved very quickly.
Well, that's what I mean. It was from a different company or an FT company. So I was told, I went there, so they said, well, you just need to sign in. And I said, well, I don't think I've ever signed in. I haven't got a password. And then
that's how they get that. Is how they get you.
Yeah.
All right.
Now listen, but Kevin Kramer, I said, what should I do? He said, just get rid of it and start a new one. Is that the thing to do?
Yeah.
A bit cumbersome though, isn't it?
Another
friend of mine said, look, what you do is you go through all your friends and get rid of the ones you don't know. All the names that you don't know or recognise.
Well, what was it that was actually posted on your Facebook page?
I'll try and find it.
Because this is a good informational thing. Because a lot of old people do get hacked because they don't know technology very well.
Yeah. Right. Now, let's see if I can find it. I think it might have been.
What was it vaguely? What was it about?
Well, that Norma Cohen was had sent posts under my name.
Who had?
Norma Cohen, who works at the FT.
Right.
She sent certain things. I ought to find it for you.
That's strange. That's very strange. That's from the Financial Times. Oh.
Another thing, look, see, if I go into that, right, that's a note from my friend, yeah?
Right.
And people say to me, why don't you open it and have a look?
Okay,
it's not working.
You should have Wi-Fi in here. Yeah, you're not connected to the. Anyway.
I've got my own Wi-Fi.
So.
I'll look at that out. Now, look, I really need you to help me out with this.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that later, after we've finished. But you're hacked, basically. Depending on how severe the hack, you can still log into Facebook. If you can still log into Facebook, it should be okay. But if you can't even do that,
well, all I do is I was just pressing on Facebook. I've never had a password. There we are. Look, now it's there. There it's there. There's me.
Well, someone must have set up the account for you. Okay,
right,
hang on then. So I just remembered that we needed to play. Keith wanted me to play part 2 to the show that we showed earlier. It's an old Mirador television clip. It's 5 minutes long. But we're going to play part 2 now. The first part was the questions, and the second half was the answers. I am sorry, I've left it a bit too late into the show. I mean, we showed it about the hour mark, so it's been about an hour and 20, hour and 10 minutes since we last played the previous clip. But this is part 2 anyway. So it'll be interesting to see the answers to those questions. All right, here we go.
Look about the interesting things that happen in our town. Those of us who live here know about them, but to a visitor, they might find them very interesting. This is ancient Keir Street. It's said that in the early 1800s, the Prince Regent won a bet by driving a coach and 4 down it. The Norman Castle in Lewes, though small, is one of the oldest in the country. A wooden Saxon fort stood on the mound until 1080. Then William de Varenne, the first Lord of Lewes, built this stone bailey as his stronghold. A tiny castle for a tiny town. Famous celebrations of November the 5th. They're huge. Almost every one of the townsfolk takes part. He goes way back before the gunpowder plot to Queen Mary's burning of religious martyrs in the centre of the town in 1556. Free beer? Of course not. But this pub, the Brewer's Arms, is one of several independently owned pubs in the town. At one time in the 1800s, Lewes had 63 pubs and 17 breweries, and just a population of 9,000, but no free beer. Well, there are the Mirador cameras trying to keep a visual record of what goes on in the town. The famous Bluebell Railway, 11 miles of track carrying lovingly restored steam trains from Sheffield Park, just outside Lewes, to East Grinstead. The line opened in 1882. As the name suggests, the railway runs through wonderful bluebell woods, worth every puff. This is indeed a rare sight. Southern Rail was on strike so frequently, trains in motion were not often seen. This is the annual raft race down the River Ouse from Lewes to Newhaven. It's more than 40 years old. Raises funds for charity, and contestants build their own rafts and try to sink the opposition. Staying with water, this is a lovely spot in Lewes known as the Pells. It was given to the town in 1603. It's the oldest operating swimming water pool in Britain. Lewes has several charming and interesting cafes, despite the presence of dull, uninteresting chain cafes in the town. The ports boast the best breakfast, and it's certainly very, very good. I can attest to that. Then there's the Runaway. Despite attempts by the rapacious railway barons to shut it, this bistro has been on Lewes Station for more than 30 years. Famous for its bacon sandwiches, Princess Di once stopped by for one. My favourite spot, especially at 6 o'clock on a summer morning, is the Priory. The building started in 1084, just 18 years after the Norman invasion. The Priory withstood the Battle of Lewes in 1264 and raids from the French during the 100 Years' War, but fell to the vandalism of Thomas Cromwell in 1535, as Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries. This is the Crown Court, and Assizes has been located in Lewes since early Norman times and has seen many famous trials. Finally, the stocks. Stocks have been used in Lewes for more than 9 centuries. Some say the punishment is still on the statute books. These are old stocks from around the country, but Lewes's stocks still sit in the grounds of the castle. Lots more interesting places in Lewes. If you live here, enjoy exploring. If you're a visitor, take a tour. We're rich in history. Oh, Jenny, what have you been up to?
All right, and we're back.
Well, what do I do with this? What do I do? Delete all?
So we've just been going, me and Stuart, through his emails because he's been hacked, and I don't know, I don't know how the hell, we won't talk about it right now, but just be careful with emails.
Wait till it happens to you, young man.
I've never been hacked because, I'm a whiz kid, and I know when things look suspicious. Anyway, look,
regards,
Stuart. Right. Put your phone down.
Yeah.
Put your phone down.
No, don't boss me around.
Yes, I'm bossing you around. The show's almost over. We've got to say goodbye and say thank you for watching. All right. Honestly, Stuart.
This one, February 2016. I didn't do this. Oh, almighty.
Okay. Well, it's 11 o'clock now, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for tuning in. And thanks, Stuart, for joining me, even though you've had a bit of a rough time.
No, here we are. Hi, Stuart. Your Facebook account has been hacked. I'm getting messages from you, but I'm not sure they are really you.
Well, ask him what the message. We'll talk about this later.
How can I ask him?
All right. Thank you for watching. Be safe online. Make sure you don't get hacked. Don't respond to scam emails. And if Facebook kicks you out for some reason and says you need to log back in, consult one of your grandkids or kids or someone that you know is tech savvy to make sure it's not a scam. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will be joining you with Keith tomorrow morning. and then me and Keith will be going, and then it'll be me and Liza Page tomorrow afternoon. So I'm looking forward to that, as I do every Thursday. Stuart.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much and goodbye.